everyone and welcome to this SUPboarder review. Now we're doing things a little bit different today in this review. I have the Sandbanks style Cruiser Reef 11 foot in the backpack behind me, and we're going to be bringing you a live review and a live testing of this board today. So please let us know in the comments what you think about this review. I know it's going to be a little bit different. We may end up doing some different things and maybe we won't follow the same kind of flow that we usually do, but please bear with me and we're going to go through this whole review together. So first off, I'm going to talk about the bag and how it feels carrying down to the water's edge. And then we're going to get into pumping the board up, so talking about the pump, how the board inflates, the PSI, everything like that. We're going to look at the fins, and then of course we're going to jump on the water and give you the overall review of how this board really does feel and perform out on the water. While we're out there, we're going to talk about the brand, their environmental awareness, and of course the warranties of the board. And then when we're going to come back in, we're going to be deflating the board and talking you through that whole process, seeing if it's really easy to do and just to see if this board is actually something that you might be interested in. At the end, of course, as always, going to give you the pros, cons, value for money, so that we make sure that you are going to decide if this board is really going to suit you out on the water. But we have a beautiful morning out there today on the estuary, so as I chat with you down the estuary, it's going to be fun. Let's do it. So as always, let's get the board information and the dimensions of this Sandbanks style Cruiser Reef art design. The board is 11 foot long, comes in at 34 inches wide and is 6 inches in thickness. The total volume is 343 litres and the weight comes in at 9.5 kilograms, which is just under 21 pounds. The load weight on this board is good up to 150 kilos, so great for those heavier riders or carrying lots of gear. It's a 2+1 fin setup with 2 fixed side fins and the center Easy Fix US fin box, which we'll speak about later in the video. Prices start from £559 with the fiberglass paddle. Looking at the construction of this board, and we have the super reinforced high density drop stitch with fusion technology and a heat treated seal. There's a triple layer on the rail and the board is also UV resistant, which means it's going to be long lasting against the elements. First off, let's see how the bag feels. Now, it does feel quite comfortable on my back. There is a fair amount of padding just on your back and also on the shoulder straps. Now, there's not too much like some other bags from different brands. However, it is quite nice to carry, just as long as you're not going too far. If we have a look at the zips on the bag, they're really durable. You know they're going to last quite a long time. We've got some really good adjustable straps on the bag, which is great to see, so you can really adjust it to suit your size. Also, these straps do fit into a little pocket, so if you are traveling overseas, you can actually slot those backpack straps into that. The bag also comes with wheels, which is fantastic. It's great when you want to be traveling a bit longer distance or carrying through the airport if you are going overseas. There's a good amount of handles on the bag as well. You've got one on the side and also one on the top, so you're always going to be able to lift up the bag no matter which way it's lying, which is really nice. So let's get into opening up the bag, seeing the board, seeing the pump, seeing all the accessories that come with it, and doing the whole inflation process. Okay, so look at the kit that you get with this board. We've got a really bright board here, so I'm not going to get lost out there today. But we've got a Bravo pump, which is really a top pump manufacturer. Now I know Ruben really likes using these pumps, so I kind of wish he was here to pump up this board for me. But we're going to get using this right away, get this board inflated, and let's see how it inflates. So while we're talking about the pump, this is the Bravo Super Pump. Now Bravo have been making pumps for a very long time, and these are really top manufacturer in pumps, so it's a great pump with the board. This is a double action Bravo pump, so what that means is that you can pump the board up on the upstroke and on the downstroke, and then when the pumping gets a bit too hard, when you're getting toward the end of that PSI, then you can switch it over to the single action with this lever here on the front, and that means that you're only going to be pumping it up on that downstroke, so it's a little bit easier. The recommended PSI for pumping up the board is between 18 and 20, but you can go up to 25 PSI on this board. The pump has a maximum of 28 PSI, so it's going to take a little bit to get you right up to that maximum PSI. However, it's going to be really good for those heavier guys if you want to get it up to that higher PSI. For the lighter riders, you can keep it around that 18 to 20. Bravo also have a deflation point on the handle of the pump, which means that when we are packing the board up, we can take all of the air out of that by using that deflation point. And I'm going to talk a little bit more about that during our pack down process. So it's the pumping up process done. It took about 6 to 8 minutes to pump up, which is pretty good for a board of this size. So a little bit about these triple bonded rails. They are really great for added strength with the board. A few brands only have that double bonded rail, so with that triple layer, you'll definitely getting a lot of quality with this board, and it's really going to last a long time. That's an extra seal, an extra layer. The fin system on the bottom of this board comes as a 2+1 setup. Now the side fins are already set in, and they are fairly small, and I believe Sandbanks have this 2+1 setup for better control. The center fin is a click and slide in fin, which is really neat. No need for screws or forgetting the screwdriver like I've done many times. You notice the fin box is foldable as well, so it makes packing up the board super easy. Of course, we'll get into that when we pack it up. So the back fin is super easy to put in. It's the slide in the front, click in the little slot in the back, and then we slide the fin back to fit the back of the fin box. So looking at carrying this board, we've got a small handle in the middle here. Remember, with all these 6-inch boards, you do have to fit your arm around it, so if you are a smaller person, might just take a little bit more to get your arm right around, because it is quite a thick board and it's going to sit out a long way from your body. There's also a handle on the back that you can attach your leash to, but that handle's great as well. If you do have gear up on the front of the board, you can use that handle to push your board out through the water. We have a coiled leash from Sandbanks, and it looks like it'll do the job. It's a great leash. You see these leashes with a lot of other top brands. Looking at the paddle and putting the paddle together, it's a 3-piece fiberglass paddle. Now, this comes standard with all the Sandbanks boards. It's an average size blade and it is fiberglass, so it's really great for all-round paddling, and it's going to be super durable out on the water as well, and the weight isn't too bad. Now, if you want a carbon paddle, like we said before, you can upgrade that with your purchase. The carbon paddle will be better if you're getting out on the water loads, as it's lighter and it takes the stress off your muscles when paddling, so you can paddle for longer. There's bungee cords up there for carrying gear. Now we're going to put some gear on there today, carry it down to the water's edge and head off on our paddles. So looking at the outline of this board, we see that it's actually quite wide at that 34 inches. So we're definitely getting a lot of stability with this board. Once you jump on it, you immediately feel that it is really, really stable. The width on this board, it is a little bit further forward than center, which means that you're getting great stability up front and you have space to carry loads of your gear as well. And then as we move back through toward the tail, you notice that it does keep its width all the way back through there. And that's really going to help with those pivot turns, which means you're going to have balance when you do stand at the back of the board. Now I've got that pulled in nose at the front as well. Now Sandbanks say that that is great for being in the waves. You got that little bit less nose so you can punch through waves. I think it's really good as well to have that little bit of nose rocker. You can really get over the little bumps, the little wakes, boat wakes that come past. It's a really great board to work on your footwork as well. So because it is that wide, stable platform, you can learn to move up and down on the board, which I think is great for those beginner paddlers starting to get into paddleboarding, because moving your feet is really the only way you're going to learn really quick and progress your paddling, because getting to know your board, getting to know the way it reacts to movements and where you put your feet on the board is really going to help, especially when you start getting into ocean paddling, when you start to step back and do some step back turns, when you get into a bit shallower water and you need to move your feet around on the board, when you're just paddling and you just want to wiggle your feet around and just move them a little bit to find that better position. Also, I'll paddle along and talk about the deck pad on the board. Now the EVA deck pad, it does come up quite a way, which is nice, and it's got a really big kicker at the back as well. So if you were stepping back there to do a little pivot turn, then you are going to be able to rest your foot up against that for a little bit extra stability and to know where your foot is back there as well. It's that diamond EVA deck pad, so really nice and grippy, quite comfortable as well. I've got boots on today, but we know that this diamond pattern does work really well. So looking at the handle on the board, it is quite a small handle to get your fingers through, but look, it does the job if you're not carrying it too long a distance. I will say one of the best things about it though is because of its size, you aren't going to get tripped up in it. So that is definitely a plus side to the handle. Looking at the bungees up on front, we've got 4 leashing points that we can connect the bungees to, which means you can carry quite a bit of gear up there. With this cruiser board, it is just meant to be out there having fun, cruising on the water. It's not really made for super long touring. It is quite a big area with the bungees, so if you do want to put loads of gear on there, you actually can, and this board is going to take it with that volume. Now, talking about the glide that you get while paddling this board, now at 11 foot long, you do get quite a bit of glide. However, that 34 inches of width really does hold it back from getting that real performance feel underneath your feet. So you're not really going to be doing any fast paddling on this board. It's definitely what Sandbanks market it as, is that cruiser board. So cruising your local waterway, getting on the water, having lots of fun. So talking about the fins and tracking, now that center fin isn't the biggest fin out there, so we're not getting great tracking. However, just with the length and the width of the board, it is going to help get it in that straighter line. With the length, you're getting a little bit more tracking because there's more edge of the board in the water, which means that you've got that water flow for longer, so it's going to keep you in that straighter line. So with the fins, you do have those 2 little small side fins. They call them the guide fins. They do help, and you can definitely feel them working underwater. However, it is going to create a little bit more drag, so it is going to slow you down. Again, with that width, with those side fins, you're not getting the fastest board, but the tracking all over is quite good. That center fin, it's an okay size. It could be a touch bigger, but it's a really versatile fin that you're going to get a lot of use out of in different types of conditions. So we've got the board up to 20 psi, the maximum recommended inflation, and it feels quite nice. That thickness as well, it keeps you up out of the water, so you're not going to get any water coming up on the deck. So looking at the stiffness of this board, and I'm going to throw it over to Bo to talk about the deflection test that we did after we got off the water. Thanks, Bo. Welcome to the future. We are back in my shed and we are doing the deflection test. So with the deflection test, we place a 1.5 meter gap in the middle of the board. Then we get a 75 kilogram weight and we place that on top of the board, and we see how far the board bends. And that really does test the stiffness of the board. So we pumped up the board to 20 psi. We did the deflection test and it came in at around 12 millimeters with the flex of this board. That is a really great number, considering that we have boards that come in that range from about 7 millimeters at the best of the deflection and ranges all the way up to about 26 or 27 millimeters with the difference of flex. But I'm going to pass it back over to Bo, who's going to explain a little bit more about the deflection test. Thanks, Bo. Great work. Now, I really do find that it is quite stiff on the water, especially pumped up to that 20 psi, the maximum recommended. And I especially recommend that if you are that heavier paddler, to try and pump it up to that 25 psi. That way, you're definitely going to be able to maximize the performance capabilities of this board. So speaking about the graphics on the board, now the board does look pretty cool. It's got that blue, green, red feel to it. And it's got that Sandbanks style written across the top, so you know the brand name. Now, I know Sandbanks have been getting a lot of customer feedback about the look and the feel of the board, and they really listen to their customers, which is great to see that they've introduced some fantastic designs. Now, I know when they first came out, they were quite a plain board, but they've really ramped it up with their retro, really cool, funky designs on their boards. So it's great to see that Sandbanks are really making boards for their customers. They're really making sure that their customer service is great as well. Now, Sandbanks was a brand that is started in the south of England in the UK, and they're a family-run business. They've been operating since 2014, and amazingly that they do support a lot of charities as well, and they have good environmental work. Now, one thing that we picked up on when this board arrived was that it came with 0 plastic packaging. So even the board was wrapped in paper. So they've really improved that, which is fantastic to see. From last year, they had those boards wrapped in plastic. So they're really pushing it to become more environmentally friendly. Now, they also have planted 20,000 trees. They're definitely going to be planting more. And they also work really hard to remove litter and plastic from our waterways. So really fantastic to see a brand that is committed to really keeping the environment clean and pristine for all of us to enjoy paddleboarding. Sandbanks style also do a 3-year warranty with purchase of a board, which is fantastic to see. It means they really stand by their products and that you are getting something that's quality, something that's going to last you a long time, because 3 years is a very long time for a warranty. So if you have any problems, they'll happily fix it, replace it, do whatever they need to do.
and it's all covered under that manufacturer's warranty. So that's just for the board. With the paddle and the pump and the accessories, you get a 12-month warranty, which is still pretty good as well because they are top quality accessories that come with the board. Looking at the load weight on this board, it is 150 kilograms, which means you can be a bigger rider and still carry gear. You can also be a lighter rider and carry lots of gear if you are looking to do a small touring adventure. I wouldn't call this a real touring board. It's definitely just cruising around, looking at all the cool stuff that's in your local waterway or when you travel overseas. But again, a really good load weight that's going to really speak to a lot of people that if they want to carry some gear. I really think it's great that you can put a kid on the front, you can put your dogs on the front. I know during lockdown, everyone's got a dog these days, so getting your pup on there, sure that they love to SUP, and it just makes for a really great family-friendly paddleboard.
Okay, jumping off the water, let's get into deflating this board. First off, we're going to take out the fin. Now this is the easy fix fin system, so it should be really nice and simple to get this fin back out. Remember, it's that slide forward, lift up, and then slide out of the box. So once that board has been deflated there, we're going to try the deflation point on the pump, and we're going to pump all the air out of the board so we can make sure we roll it up nice and tight. Now it's a really great feature that Bravo have done with this and a lot of other pumps as well, and they really just get all the air out of the board so you can store it a lot easier, and also it's going to be much easier to fit back into that bag. So once it's all rolled up, you can see with that foldable fin box that it folds around through there, which is really great, so you can get a little bit extra roll on your board. So fitting it in should be quite easy. Now that we've got the board all packed up, let's take a look at the pros, cons, value for money, and who this board is going to suit. So starting off with the pros of this board, I think it's a really stable board. It's really comfortable to paddle. I think a lot of paddlers are going to enjoy cruising down their local waterway on this board. Another pro is the accessories that come with the package, the pump you're getting, the paddle, and the fin as well. Everything is top quality, so you really are getting a lot of value for money in this package. The bag as well, it's really great quality. I think it's going to be really good to travel with. It's got those wheels on the bottom. It's quite comfortable to carry. It could do with a little more padding, but all in all, it's a great bag for that price point. Of course, the brand's environmental credibility is great as well, so it's fantastic to really buy into a brand that's looking after the environment and that's also giving back to charities. Taking a look at the cons of this board, and yes, with all big boards, this one's 343 liters, 6 inches thick. It's going to sit really high on the water, so if you do fall off, getting back on can be an issue if you're wearing a buoyancy aid or if you're a little bit bigger or don't have that arm strength to climb back onto the board. So if that might be an issue for you, maybe look at getting something a little bit thinner in the Sandbanks style range. Also looking at the negatives of this board, the handle could be maybe a little bit bigger just so you can fit your fingers in a little bit easier and just have a bit more comfort when carrying it, because with that big board you do have to reach right around and it is quite a small little gap. So you know, those heavier riders, bigger people, if you have big hands, it's going to be really hard to really grip onto that carry handle when you are carrying it down. But if you're not going too far, it's really not that much of an issue. The fin as well, I did find it a bit difficult to slide the fin up and down the fin box for the first few times. Now I think with time that would loosen up, but it will be quite tricky if you are starting out with a Sandbank style board. So make sure you bring a bit of foam or something that you can really bang the fin with, and that way you'll be able to fit the fin in really nice and snug. Looking at the value for money, and you are getting so much value for money with this board. It really does speak for itself. This whole video we've talked about the accessories you get with it, the board, the construction. I really think for that price point at £559 with a paddle, you're getting a really great board. And with Sandbanks, you know you're getting a 3-year warranty, so you don't really have to worry about the board for a few years. Obviously, you need to clean the board and keep it in good use, and also make sure that you are looking after it. And those accessories, those with 12-month warranty, paddle, pump, really great to see that you're getting a lot of value for money. So who's this board going to suit? We're definitely looking at those beginner paddlers, heavier paddlers as well. So guys and girls that are a little bit bigger, you're really going to find this board excellent for your paddling. It is really nice and wide, stable. It's going to cruise up and down your waterway and you're going to get a lot out of it. If you are that intermediate paddler, if you're going to look at this board, you'd probably get it for taking your kids out on the front.
So making sure that you can fit the whole family on and you can have a ton of fun with this board. And if you are that more advanced paddler, or you're looking for something that's more touring based or more surfing based, then Sandbanks Style have plenty of other boards in their range that you should be looking at, and making sure that you go a little bit narrower if you want a bit more performance, because this wide board, it is going to slow it down a little bit, but again, it is really stable and you can fit everyone and everything on there. Thank you so much for tuning in to this SUPboarder review. Now, I know that we tried a little bit of a different style, so I really want to hear your comments below to see if you like the way we did this, or if we want to head back to the studio. I don't mind. All the criticism, please fire it my way. But we really just wanted to try all this out to see if it was something that we can bring you into the future. Remember, there's tons more videos up on SUPboardermag.com, so head over and check all of them out. And thank you very much for all of your support in watching our videos, even just visiting our website or liking our videos, subscribing. It all goes a long way to spread the word of stand-up paddling into the greater community. Thank you very much again for watching this video. We look forward to seeing you on another SUPboarder review really soon.